This video is going to help you if you tend to feel very insecure within yourself and around other people. If you're very judgmental of yourself, very hypercritical, and have a lot of social anxiety like I do. So stay tuned. My name is Adam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, please take a second to like and subscribe. And I just wanted to let you know I'm doing some free breakthrough calls. These are really phenomenal 30-minute Zoom calls where we just kind of get on Zoom. We go over your vision for your life, what you're excited to create, what you want to create, what's stopping you from doing it, what's blocking you, getting in the way of you doing it, and then some steps we can take or that you can take to get through it and align with your highest vision. Okay, so recently I started going to a clown school. I took a Commedia dell'arte class, which finished last week, which is based around clowning, but it's not exactly clowning. And now I'm starting just a basic clown class. And this is something that I've always really wanted to do, mainly because, I've always been an old soul and been drawn to comedy, but partially because I just like comedy, but also partially because I've always had this sort of heaviness and seriousness, and I've always had both, but I wanted to be more lighthearted, more playful, and in general just have taken myself too seriously and have had a lot of social anxiety, and I've always just wanted to break that. I don't know if anybody watching this can relate to this, but it's something that's really deeply bothered me since I was a little kid. And what I'm looking for is freedom, which I think is what we're all looking for. Now, before I get into a few things that I'm already learning from, like spiritual life lessons that I'm learning from just even starting this class yesterday, I want to just say I feel like a fool even talking about it because I feel like I don't know that much about this. Which is one of the reasons why I feel it's good for me to do it. I'm just sharing my insights. I'm not like a clown teacher. I'm new. But I think it's important because I don't think we need to be experts at everything in order to share what we have. It's one of my lessons is to understand that I don't always need to be the person up in the tower that knows everything, because none of us do. And I'm sort of tired of all the spiritual teachers and life coaches acting like everything's perfect all the time and they have all their shit together, when I know that's not true. A lot of times, 5 minutes before they do their post on what you need to do to heal yourself and be in a good space, they were sucking on a fucking revolver thinking about leaving, and they're doing it just to get over that. That's how we all are. We're all just walking each other home very, very clumsily. Okay, so a few things that I learned last night that I think everyone can apply in their life everywhere. These were major revelations for me. So the first is staying connected in the discomfort. So one of the things that the teacher had the class do was we just kind of, it was a first class. It was very just general, just basic sort of theater game exercises where we would stand in a circle, and you might be asked to laugh or to make a certain gesture, and while you're doing this, the goal was to make eye contact with every single person, or to make eye contact with someone the whole time you were doing it. Why? Because anytime we feel uncomfortable, we tend to retreat back into ourselves. We tend to dissociate. We tend to go into our head. Why? Because we don't feel safe. And we feel safer in our heads. And sometimes it's just even the simple understanding that you can actually stay connected when you're uncomfortable. That it's okay. And to give, even me just learning that I just need to give myself permission when I'm looking at somebody and I feel a little shy or introverted or empathic, to just stay there in the moment, and the nervousness or whatever will start to heal, was a major revelation or a breakthrough. And this is something I've worked with for a while in my own way. But how this applies to you is we disconnect all the time. Human beings dissociate every time they think, every time we speak. And when we get into conversations, especially sensitive, empathic people, you can almost feel what the other person's feeling. So if you say something that you don't think is good or interesting, you immediately will have this sort of energetic pullback. And so what I'm learning, and what I would invite anyone who wants to just kind of practice this on their own to do, is to just let yourself stay connected a little bit longer. When you're talking to someone and you're not sure what to say, or you think what you said was maybe dumb, just stay there. Even if it makes them uncomfortable, just stay there, because what happens is you stay present. And when you stay present, you become, magnetic. That's the catchphrase. That's the big term online, in YouTube videos. It's like, be magnetic as fuck, and it's true. But magnetism just comes from being in the moment. When you're in the moment, people like you more. Don't do it to get them to like you. They just like you because you're you. So challenge yourself. See how often you can do this. See how long you can stay feeling weird, feeling awkward. And when you're going through something like this, to allow people to bring them in, because ultimately trauma comes from separation. We all tend to go into our own stories and feel like we're the only ones going through anything. And as I've been part of groups more in the past couple years, I'm noticing that almost all this shit that I thought I had going on in my head and in my body emotionally that I thought was unique to me isn't at all. It's like everybody thinks this stuff, but that's actually how you heal it, because trauma heals from connection. Everything heals from connection. The other thing that the teacher talked about was celebrating your failures. That's a big part of the world of the clown. It's like when you fail at something, that's a good thing. And that is so important for all of us to embrace, because we live in such a perfectionistic, self-improvement based world where everything has to be perfect. Everyone has to be the best. And we're fed this sort of diet of kind of bullshit. It's not, some of it's intentional, some of it's not, but all we kind of see are these success stories after they achieved success, and we just see the Hollywood sort of fairy tale version, and we think that they just came out that way and they just feel that way all the time. They don't. There are so many steps and experimentations that you have to go through that don't work until you get to whatever kind of is the breakthrough. But here's the thing with that: a lot of times the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest successes are flukes. They come from the failure. It's like, embrace your mistakes, let them be there, and see how you can work with them. Like, how would it be if you turned in a paper and you got a D and you were like, yes, this fucking D is awesome? Or you put out a social media post and you got 2 likes and you started to celebrate the fact that you got 2 likes, and that's it. It kind of eradicates almost all of the fear that we have, because most of what stops us from going in the direction of what we want to do is the fear that we'll fail at. It's also the fear that we'll succeed. But the fear of success also comes from, like, if we get successful and then lose it, we're going to be depressed again. So if you can start to embrace every fuck up, everything that's not very good, and you see that as like an honor and a gift, like, that's kind of the antidote to life. So where are you failing, or where are you perceiving yourself to be failing right now in the eyes of everybody else? And how can you see that as like a gift of your own uniqueness and ability to experiment as a creator? So like, write out little things that haven't gone the way you want them to go. This is something I'm learning too. I'm not an expert at this at all. And just honor them. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, which is kind of connected to celebrating your failures, is like getting points. It's like getting points for being a fool. And one of the things that I want to connect to this is what I learned is that the clown, one of the main kind of axioms is about I see and I'm seen. It's like allowing yourself to see and allowing yourself to be seen. So whatever the clown goes through, they go through in public. And the more you're okay with whatever you're going through, the more other people are going to be okay. And it doesn't matter what they think. But you can see this very often in, like, say you're walking down the street or someone else is walking down the street and they trip. Okay? The tendency is to get embarrassed, right? But if you trip and you get embarrassed in front of everybody else, then they get embarrassed because people feel what we feel. You're like, oh my God, I tripped, I look stupid. And they're like, oh my God, you did look stupid. But what happens when the person trips and they smile, or they trip and they own it, or they trip and then they trip harder? People start laughing and then they think that it's funny and they think that it's cool. All it comes down to is that decision in that moment to whether you're going to own what you just did and like give yourself points for being a fool, or if you're going to judge yourself and criticize yourself, because everything is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. That's true confidence. True confidence isn't being in an amazing space all the time. It's embracing whatever you are in each moment and just letting that be great. There is no right or wrong. There is no good and bad. Life is an experimentation. That's all that it is. The only way you really fail is if you don't try and you don't keep going. So let me know if you got anything from this. Please leave comments below, any revelations, breakthroughs, questions. I have a free energy clearing in the description below. Other than that, thank you very much. I appreciate the support, and I will keep you posted. Bye-bye.